And welcome to another edition of Wolverine Chat, edition number 11. We're going to talk a little bit about the previewing the college football playoffs, looking at Georgia versus Ohio State, Michigan versus TCU, give our predictions, and then the night of the game, I'll be doing a little 10-minute chat on the game. I will be at in Glendale, Arizona, so we will broadcast from there a little bit and go from there. Before we get started, Nate is with me today. Nate, we do have a winner of the contest of the Michigan basketball contest, January 4th winner against Penn State. You want to tell us who won that
Yes,
contest?
finally. Congratulations, Anthony Goodrich. We will get a hold of you so we can send you those tickets, man.
And they're electronically, so we
Yes.
will email you or send them. And just to let you know, when they're done electronically through Michigan, you can send them via text messaging. So don't worry about having to go through the emails or anything like that. We'll text message you the tickets, and hopefully they win and enjoy the game. I think they should beat Penn State, but you never know when it comes to the Big Ten. You never know who's going to.
And Michigan.
And Michigan, for that matter. I mean, they're up and down all season, so we'll just. It worries me. I just don't know what's going on with this team.
For sure.
So, anyway, so let's chat on Georgia, Ohio State first. Go ahead. You can tell me what your thoughts, and then I'll.
Georgia's just a powerhouse, man. I expect a pretty close game. I got Georgia winning 30-23 in a very, very close game. But I just don't think Ohio has that fighting ability, especially how they rolled over like some dogs against Michigan in the last game. I mean, yeah, sure, teams that have a second chance, usually they come out swinging because they have nothing to lose, and Georgia has everything to lose.
I don't think in this case, I think it's happened the opposite effect for Ohio State from what I hear.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess we got to wait and see because I just don't know what Ohio State team to expect. Can I expect the team that we watched beat the Big Ten by 40, 50 points each game, or can we expect a team that came in to play Michigan?
And remember, there's a lot of games they played, I mean, that they just didn't look great at. The Penn State, they won by 2 touchdowns, but that game was a very close game to the end. Maryland, Northwestern. I mean, we can have excuses for all those games, but that defense that they brought a new defensive coordinator in to make a difference. Yeah, has it gotten better? Maybe a little bit, but there's still a lot of holes. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. But when you come to Georgia, that game is going to be at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, of course, in Atlanta. Watch it on ESPN. Georgia is a 6.5 favorite, which kind of surprises me. I thought Georgia might be 8 to 9 possibly, but, there's going to be one of two things. Either it's going to be a really good game that Ohio State can win or Georgia's going to whip them. It just, the longer it's Ohio State sees they can win, I think the more they're going to stay.
And see, that's something that Georgia needs to understand as well, is that they can't come in here expecting, to steamroll Ohio State. Right. They are a very good team, believe it or not.
No, they are. They got the talent, for sure.
Exactly. And so for me, I think Georgia needs to just stick to their game plan, do what they've done all season long. Stetson Bennett needs to come out swinging, and the defense is going to do what the defense has done all season long. And if they can just stick to their game plan, do what they've done all season long, and treat this as if it were another regular season game, then I have Georgia winning by more than 7 at that point.
Right. You're right. I agree. Now, Georgia, I mean, their defense, they shouldn't be this good this year. Repeating last season's success would have been hard enough. But they lost 5, and I repeat, 5 first-round picks to the NFL. But probably the most talented guy on that team who did come back was Jalen Carter. The guy is just tearing it up. In the past 6 games, 24 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He's big, strong. He plugs those running lanes, and I would love to see the Lions actually get him. If he goes 4 or 5, he'll probably go a little earlier than that. But that's for Georgia to win. It really isn't that complicated. It's going to happen at the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball, from inside outside. Carter on the defensive line. If they suffocate that running game, I think that they shouldn't have a terrible problem. Offensively, like you said, Bennett, I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he's a good quarterback. And I think if he plays, he's a very smart quarterback. He has pre-snap smarts. He knows he can change that call. He knows what he's doing up front. And with their all American tight end Bowers, I mean, they've got the ingredients to win it again this year. But hopefully Michigan will have something to say about that. As far as Ohio State, you mentioned CJ. He could be a very important player. If he can have his time, he's kind of like not quite the same, of course, but he's kind of a little bit like Jared Goff. When Goff has time, the guy can just nail it. But when he gets outside, although I take CJ outside the pocket than Jared Goff, but CJ, when he gets stressed, you can see his game starts going crazy. Of course, they've got a great running back with Mayan Williams is the new running back, the freshman. Dalen Hayden came in. He did really good in that last game, but against Maryland. But then he came in against Michigan and didn't do much at all. So we'll see what happens. But Stroud threw for 449 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Wolverines, 349 yards. So he didn't have that terrible of a game, but he had 2 interceptions. But even with that, he needs to step it up. And but they could. I mean, they have some injuries still, but Ohio State is still Ohio State. And if Georgia, like you said, doesn't take them seriously, I think Ohio State could win. I'm taking Georgia 34-21. 34-21. And wow. But it could be. Who knows? I wouldn't be shocked if Ohio State won. Some of our Michigan fans, want Ohio State. I don't want Ohio State again. They don't deserve it. They need to wallow in self-pity for 354 more days. They didn't deserve to be in the playoffs, although the committee had no choice. Who else are you going to take? Alabama? So the fact they're there, it bothers me, but I understand why they're there. But I don't want Ohio State again. You don't want to go against a wounded animal. However, if they do get in and Michigan beats them again, I mean, can you imagine the fire that Day is going to be under? I mean, he will be hunted down in Columbus. So, Michigan, TCU. Michigan is the 2nd seed. TCU is the 3rd seed. That's at the Fiesta Bowl, which I will be attending at the State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Do you know what happens about a month later at the same stadium?
No.
Super Bowl. So we're going to have 2 teams from Michigan in the stadium and 2. Okay, well, maybe I'm hoping too much, but that'd be something if the Lions played in the same stadium in the Super Bowl.
Going too far ahead, Tim.
I know, but I just realized that the other day, and I'm like, holy cow, we might as well just stay the extra month and go to the Super Bowl. But anyway, Michigan is a 9.5-point favorite. It went down a little bit, but what's your thoughts on Michigan TCU?
Something that I didn't know actually about TCU was their quarterback, Max Duggan. He wasn't even the starter this year until a couple games in.
Yeah, I like to say I knew that, but I just read about that a couple days ago. So it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and for him to perform the way he's performed all season long is absolutely incredible. To come off the bench and bring them to the playoff it's actually really incredible. One thing that does worry about me is about this TCU team that we're going up against is they just have that dog ability to them where they're just not going to back down from anything, and Max Duggan is going to go and do whatever he needs to do and do whatever it takes to win the game no matter what. I mean, we watched it against Kansas State in the championship game. He brought the team down the field, went ahead, and then brought it into overtime, and it was a heroic defeat.
They got robbed
on their part.
They should have won. They had a touchdown.
Oh yeah, for sure on the goal line where the run he passed it. He passed the goal line, and for some reason they did not.
And it was a mismark on the play before.
Oh yeah.
They put him at the 1 yard line, or maybe
he should have been at like the 5-inch yard.
Yeah, line. I mean literally
at the 5-inch line. So. Yeah, and so I have a sort of close game, but at the same time, the way Michigan has played all season long and the way they have performed in big games when they need to, I have Michigan 35-14.
35-14. That would be nice. Just
35 is what I would like it to see, but realistically, it's probably going to be more 28-21, 35-28, something along those lines.
I think it's going to be a typical second half. We'll see what happens. I wanted to touch base, go back before I give my thoughts on Michigan TCU on the Ohio State Georgia game real quick. I forgot to mention something. I was looking at this statistic, and if Ohio State in the last against Michigan, you talk about giving up big plays. They gave up 3 plays, 70 yards, 1 play, 75 yards, 1 play, 75 yards, a 75-yard touchdown run, and then 3 plays, 92 yards, 85-yard run touchdown. Against Penn State, they gave up plays of 58, 42, 35, 27, 27, and 26. That is a lot of big plays to be given up. So, and is Georgia as good as Michigan offensively? Well, I would have to say yes, and probably maybe better. Who knows? But the fact is, if Ohio State don't start doing something, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to be in trouble. They've got to clog those holes up. But when I saw all those big plays against the big teams, Michigan and Penn State, it just made me shake my head. As far as Michigan, it's simple. If Michigan established a running game, control the clock like they have all season, mix in some big plays like they did against Ohio State. J.J. McCarthy does his thing now and throw it downfield. All season, J.J. has been calling the smash mouth or a smash fest team, smash mouth football. I don't think they should beat TCU. TCU has the offense. Defensively, they're 52nd, I think, in rushing. I think Michigan.
And that's something that I'm looking forward to see Donovan Edwards just eat that defensive line up. I really am, because if his hand is healthy, it's a different ballgame. Because if his cast is off, now you have to worry about him not only in the backfield but in the receiving game as well, and that is just something that's hard to defeat. Well,
if his cast is off, we just added another receiver. Right now against Ohio State,
hell, we had another quarterback. I mean, with that.
Well, yeah, the way he passes the ball, but I mean, we added a great running back against Purdue, a great running back against Ohio State, but now there's going to be a third person, and that's the receiver. And whatever else he might do. He still caught the ball a couple times with that cast on, but it's kind of iffy if that's going to be off or not, but I think there's a decent chance that it will be, so that would be exciting. For TCU to win, it's going to be tough, but they've got, you got Kendra Miller, who is a very good running back, ran over 1,300 yards rushing for the season. Quentin Johnson and Darius Davis is their 2 good receivers. They got a nice dual threat as far as that. Michigan has had its issues in the past in the secondary, but there's Will Johnson stepping up. He's doing a lot better. So I think Michigan will be okay, but we just got to do what we do. Run it down the field, but don't just, not pass it. You got to, that's what helps your passing game when you can run, and the running game when you can pass. So together, I think they should be okay. I'm picking Michigan probably, I think they're going to score 40. So I'm saying 42 to 27. 42-27. Am I nervous about it? I'm always nervous about it, but Michigan should win. Let me ask you this. What happens if Michigan loses? What is the fan base like? Is this going to destroy an otherwise great season? What happens if they lose?
I feel like if they even win the semifinal and lose in the championship, it's still a successful season in my eyes, due to the fact that Jim Harbaugh would have finally won another bowl game.
Right. They 1-4, I believe, in his.
No, he's only won one in like 6 or 7 years.
That was in 2015 against Florida.
Yeah, with Jake Rudock at quarterback, and that was about it. After that, he has lost every single bowl game that he has been a part of.
And that Georgia game last year, it's a bowl game. It's a playoffs, but still a bowl game.
Yep.
So, yes, they've got to that's the one thing he's got to start to right the ship is in their bowl games. And I think if we lose, I'll be disappointed because this is a great opportunity to go to that next level. But once that hurt stops, once I come back to earth, I'll realize next year is going to be another great opportunity. But yes, they've got to beat TCU. In the finals, that's a different story. Will I be disappointed if they lose to Georgia? Yes. Do I expect them to lose? Not necessarily. I think it's going to be a really good game.
If we get Georgia, I expect a full shellacking by Michigan just because of what happened last year.
If we get Georgia?
Yes, I do, because of the way that the players reacted after they lost. They wanted that revenge.
Yep, they stayed out there, the three freshmen. At the time they were freshmen, J.J. Donovan Edwards, and Andrell. Yeah. There's a picture of that. That's where I'm watching the celebration. So I agree with that.
And two of those three players right now are key to our success.
So do you have feelings, different feelings, if they lose to Georgia compared to if they lose to Ohio State? Would you feel worse if they lost to Ohio State than No?
No, because we showed what we could do against Ohio State.
But wouldn't it be terrible?
And honestly, I feel like the 12th game of the season compared to a semifinal or something, the game is bigger than any bowl game. I feel like, in my opinion, besides a national championship. Mm-hmm. But the game is, I feel like, bigger than a semifinal, in my opinion, just because of, the implications that it has for the rest of the season for each team. Look at Ohio State barely snuck into the playoff because of their loss to Michigan. They had to have a bunch of moving pieces in order to make it into the playoff. Michigan showed up, showed out, they balled, and they didn't have a thing to worry about. Even if they did lose to Ohio State, they were in no matter what. I felt like if Michigan lost, both of them would have been in either way.
Right, especially how it ended up.
Exactly.
With the teams losing. So, but here's the thing. I will feel worse if Ohio State beats us for one simple reason. Ohio State now, no matter what we did to them, they are the ones that we're chasing again. Are they? We're a better team. We've done all that. We proved all that. But Ohio State beat us for the national championship. And those fans are going to be all over us. They may know in the truth next year Michigan will probably win again at home, but they have a chance to right a ship in a month as opposed to a whole year. It just would make me sick. It would absolutely make me sick if Ohio State ended up winning. Could we win? Yes. Will we win? Probably. But it doesn't mean it's a guarantee. It's Ohio State. There's no way can you say it's a guarantee. Georgia, I'll be disappointed if we get our butts whipped again. If it's a close game at Georgia, I'll be disappointed, but I won't feel like, oh.
It would be a very proud.
Yes.
I would be very proud of our team if we kept it close against Georgia.
If we make it to the finals, it's a good season. Maybe we're not where Alabama was a few years ago when if they don't win it, it's a losing
we're better
season.
than Alabama.
But we are better, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a few years ago, Alabama doesn't win the national championship. It's a bad season. It's just terrible. Michigan's not there yet. We are probably one of the top one or two teams, but we're not. If we don't win the national championship, we're not going to be running around with our hair on fire saying we're blowing it. What's wrong? We're still trending up. I think in the next year or two, it's going to be Michigan that they expect to win the national championship. Is it now? No. I expect to be in the final two, and I expect it to be a good game. I expect to beat Ohio State. I just don't expect to beat Georgia.
Especially the way that the entire team the last 2 years has been trending upwards. So if you look at how last year went, right? We had two completely different quarterbacks in 2 seasons, okay? We had Cade McNamara, who was just a game manager, right? And then you have JJ, who has literally changed the entire game every single time he steps up onto the field.
Over the last couple games, or were you saying that when they're missing against Maryland and missing against,
He's missing, but the teams know, like when you have that kind of threat downfield, when they know he has the arm strength, that is something that also defensive coordinators have to worry about.
I agree.
Cade, we didn't have to worry about. Defenses didn't really have to worry about that much. He didn't have that kind of arm strength or the arm talent. It was there. He showed a couple here and there, like
Wisconsin.
And Michigan State and whatnot, and Ohio State. He showed a couple promises here and there, but he was just super inconsistent. JJ has been super consistent in the passing game, whether it's sure he's not hitting downfield as much as I'd like him to, especially with how wide open the receivers were in the beginning of probably like the 7-8 games that we started off the season. But the last 5 games he has been trending upwards, and it should be something scary for the rest of the college football world to notice because, if he stays up until his 5th year, well, he can't technically. His 4th year or whatever.
He didn't have a COVID year. So.
Yeah, I thought he did, but yeah. If he stays another 2 years, which I think he will, he is going to be a Heisman contender at that point. His senior year, he is going to be something that is going to be absolutely terrifying for the rest of the world to see.
Conversation next year if he does what I expect him to do.
I expect him to pass. Instead of low 2000s, I expect him to be 3,500 to 3,700 yards next year.
So do I. Touching on what you said about Cade last year, a lot of people, they'll look at their numbers and they're not that far apart. Kind of what you said. The teams, when Cade was playing, they knew that, okay, on occasion he was going to hit. He was going to make some big plays. Kudos. Great game manager, step above game manager.
And something else, sorry.
Yeah.
Something else about Cade is they didn't really have many long balls designed for Cade last year. I felt they were like small little crossing patterns or out routes.
Against Penn State.
Yeah, and for JJ, they have just go routes for some of their receivers.
Well, that's what I was saying.
And he can hit it.
And that's the difference. They knew last year, okay, if they hit it, so be it. They weren't scared. JJ, they might not be hitting it either, but they're using him a lot more. And that defense has got to know that, hey, at any
because
play,
he is a true dual threat quarterback. Yeah. He can move with his feet and he can hit you on the run with his feet.
And as long as they keep pushing it downfield, even if they're incompleting, the fact that they're trying downfield, that defense knows that we're capable of doing it.
As long as JJ can keep the defense on their heels, he has them right where he wants them, I feel like, every time when he steps up onto the field. And, I feel like the offense the last 2 years has just trended so far upwards that is scary. Defense, I felt like has taken a couple steps back. Yes, they might statistically be better than last year, but we're not getting to the quarterback like I want to. We're getting QB hurries and whatnot. We're putting pressure on them, but we're not getting the sacks that we need. We have a lot of missed tackles. Jesse Minter, for some unknown reason, he calls when we went against Purdue for the first 2 drives, he had a zone, and they scored on each of those when he was switching to the zones, and then he's like, "Oh well, maybe I should just switch to a man." And they were doing kind of back and forth throughout the entire game. And when they would switch to that soft zone, Aiden O'Connell hit and made him pay. And so I felt like the defense has trended downwards just a little bit, not a lot. If we can get more pressure onto the quarterback and actually sack the quarterback, we'll be okay.
Yeah, and I expect that. And what excites me for the first time in years is next year. I believe this team's going to be even better. They're with the young guys that are coming back, some of the recruits they've gotten, and mostly some of the guys they've gotten from the transfer portal. That's going to be great. So it's looking forward to. We'll see you all next week at the game. I'll talk to you before we leave. Let's touch on the Lions. I see his little girls here. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Okay. Hi, baby. She got beautiful red hair here, so she likes to come in and take over, but that's okay.
Dad, let me say hi.
And about the Lions,
Let me say hi.
Carolina, I expect them to win, but Carolina is better than the record shows. It's another cold day. Like this whole country is having a cold spell. It's going to be 32 down there. Sam Darnold, I'm not.
Sam Darnold is terrible.
Yeah, they shouldn't be too worried about him.
Why they got rid of Baker makes no sense.
It makes no sense at all. I don't understand. That's kind of a Lioness type move, but they did. The Lions get that Jets game. I don't know. I didn't say that I knew they were going to win once the Jets scored, but I thought, you know what, they could come back and do this. Now, I didn't expect it to be a crossing route, on a tight end who's never been used and run down the field like that. And then how they stopped them. Here's what's funny about how they stopped them. They sacked him twice. You would think that would be they didn't have a chance. But no, they stopped him. Then they throw a big pass. Then they stopped him. They won that game. Why did he not call timeout? He would have had an extra 40 seconds to run that ball and get closer to the they would have had a 30-yard field goal. There is no reason that he didn't call timeout. That was I don't want to say Dan Campbell-esque, because Dan Campbell's not doing this as much, but that's something he would have done in the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
and
sure.
that was something else. I was just I'm getting so excited, but the more excited you get about the Lions, the more you worry. That's the problem with winning. Now you care.
Honestly, though, they are the hottest team in the NFL right now. People want to watch the Lions, and they are rooting for the Lions just because of the way they started to where they are now. I mean, they are 6-1 in their last 7 games. They started off 1-6, and now we're 500.
Complete opposite.
Yeah.
And I was hard rooting for Green Bay the other day against LA, but I wanted their draft pick. But I'm not too worried about. Did you hear Sharon Rodgers talking about that team? Oh, yeah, but one of the teams is just 500 after the. I can't stand the guy. I give him his props. He's a great quarterback. Won 1 Super Bowl, by the way. But he has something, a bug up his butt about the Lions. I don't know what it is. It's not like we dominated them for years. I don't know why he just hates the Lions. But I would love to beat them the last game to go to the playoffs, but it would make me a little nervous if they're both playing for a playoff bid and the winner at Green Bay. I would be. I don't know.
See, well, the thing I've liked about the Lions team the last 7 weeks, 8 weeks, is that they have come out guns blazing. I mean, Goff, when he can hit, he can hit. He is one of the hottest quarterbacks in the NFL when that man can hit his passes. Nobody, he can compete with Patrick Mahomes.
Oh.
And everybody in the NFL, but when he's cold, it's ugly.
Oh, it is ugly. When his pressure on him, it's ugly. He cannot complete a pass if he is even jogging a little bit out to the right. He'll throw it to the ground, right at their feet, even if the guy's wide open.
Yep.
I don't. That just drives me batty. But if you put him in say forward field with protection, And those receivers, there's nobody I'd rather have than him. I don't care who name the quarterback. I'll take Goff, especially this year when he's got the people and he's in good conditions. Now he's doing okay in some of the conditions. He won last week, but it's going to be cold. But I think he'll be okay. I think he's going to pass pretty well, and we've got all our guys back. We got 5 deep on receiver. I mean, this team is for real, and we got 4, 5 of the top 50 picks. This is scary how good this team could be. So yeah. I wouldn't be if they play Minnesota. I'm picking the Lions, and I'd be worried against if you had said Purdy going up against San Francisco. I'd say give me San Francisco. But this Purdy kid is just tearing it up. Wow. I'm really impressed with that. So we'll see. But I think the Lions should win. Kind of like you think Michigan should beat TCU. I think in the fourth quarter it's going to be close, but I think we're going to feel good about the game and then hopefully go on. And I don't want us to get in the 6th position, to be honest, because that's probably meaning we go against San Francisco. So, but we'll see. And just to let you people know, we will be switching to a new podcast for Lions part of it. It'll be called Lion Chat, and we'll do all Lions and all Michigan, both football and basketball on this. So to everybody, Merry Christmas. Have a great New Year. We'll talk to you from Glendale, Arizona at the game, and looking forward to that. And go Blue, go Lions, and have a great New Year. Nate, you have a great Christmas, and may your New Year be everything you hope with you and your family and your 2 beautiful daughters. Just have a great year and stay in. I have to drive home. You don't.
You too, man.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Go
Christmas.
Blue.
Go Blue. Bye-bye.